Hello, and welcome to my channel. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and today I have got another book review for you. Now, before we get into the book review, as always, make sure you are liking and subscribing, hitting the bell notification so you get regular updates for when I post new content, which I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the book review, which is going to be Guards, the first book in the Night Watch series by Terry Pratchett. This is the 8th book in Discworld, which is, if you don't know, Mr. Terry Pratchett's epic, large, long fantasy series. Now, what is Discworld? Discworld is basically a planet, a flat planet, that is on the back of 3 elephants, it's either 3 or 4 elephants, that is then on the back of a turtle that is flying through space. Now, what I really love about this book is that it is just so fun. It is, like I said, the 8th Discworld novel and the first Night Watch book. You can read, what I really like about Discworld is there are certain sub-series that you can choose from, and this has been told to be one of the good starting points. I was initially kind of hesitant to get into Discworld because I thought it was more silly than adult epic fantasy. And it's not exactly what I'd call epic fantasy, but it is what I would call adult fantasy. And I'm very, very happy to have been wrong about that. Because when I always heard about this, it was always absurdist. So I kept hearing about it for years and years and years, and I kept pushing it aside, going, no, it's not for me. And then my cousins recommended it to me, so I wrote it down, and it's been kind of just sitting there on a post-it for a number of years, and then, a couple years. And then I got recommended it by the Library of Allenxandria, so I tried the sample chapter on the Kindle, went, no, that's not for me. And then I hit a slump. And I was nosediving. I was about to completely burn out on books, so I went to my buddy Nico over at Niko'sBookReviews. I'll link his channel down in the description below. Check him out. He's currently reading through these in publication order. And I said, hey, I'm starting to slump. Do you have anything to get me out of it? And he said, have you tried Guards? And while hesitant, I finally acquiesced and read it. And oh my god, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's probably going to be a gush review. But yeah, this is basically, it's like adult fantasy mixed with Monty Python, but not quite as silly, which was very, 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 very good. This is honestly the worst kept secret in fantasy. I thought this was going to be like Piers Anthony's Xanth novels for like middle grade kids, but that just really appealed to adults. And no, this is adult fantasy. I cannot stress that enough. I do intend to be doing regular reviews for the Night Watch and the Death Collection. Like I said, there are a bunch of sub-series, and I went ahead and got the hardcover editions of these for my birthday for my amazing in-laws for both the Night Watch and the Death Collection, which comprises 13 books, and I've already read this one. So, what is this? It says, this is where the dragons went. They lie, not dead, not asleep, but dormant. And although the space they occupy isn't like normal space, nevertheless, they are packed in tightly. They could put you in mind of a can of sardines. And if you thought sardines were huge and scaly, and presumably somewhere there's a key. That sounds silly. It sounds very abstract. It'll make sense once you read it. Essentially, dragons are thought to be gone. But they're not gone. They're magical beings. They're sleeping in their own little portal fantasy. And someone decides to use a key to bring them out. Which, as you can think, doesn't really go well. Considering if you look at the cover, there's a dragon breathing fire, and Ingmar Bork is on fire. I don't consider that a spoiler, because it's the cover. But yeah, that said, what characters are we looking at here? Well, in the Night Watch, we have got Captain Vimes, Sergeant Colon. I don't know. I call him, my brain, it's spelled colon, so my brain always goes colon. Correct me if I'm wrong. There could be a better pronunciation. I don't know. I read it. I didn't listen to any audiobook. We've got Corporal Nobbs, or Nobby. And then we have got Carrot, Iron Foundson. And then the deputy, the librarian, who is a big orange monkey. And he's obviously very good at his book, which you will find when you read this out. But basically, the Night Watch is a group of night policemen who have kind of fallen into destitute. Or have become destitute. I'm not sure how that works in the English language. We're going to go say they have become destitute. Anyway, they were once a proud police force that were very, very, very illustrious. And since the patrician came to power, who is the ruler of Angmar Pork, I like to view him as almost a less murderous Professor Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes. That could be wrong. He could be a murderer. But basically, the patrician's always in control. Even when you think he's not in control, he's in control. And that makes him super cool and scary. He is very calculating, he is very smart, and he always thinks ahead. He is thinking what you're thinking 6 weeks before you have the thought. So he's already thought of it, and he's already created contingency plans for it. It's not fair. I don't want to play chess with him. But anyway, the patrician passed a bunch of laws that kind of made police forces obsolete. The thieves are now a licensed guild where you just pay them a fee, and now they've got your money instead of having to go and steal it from you. So they're like almost like a public service. So that's a bit on the odd side, but you know that it has made them just a bunch of night criers who walk around going, "It's midnight, all is well," and then they go and get drunk. So when we first meet Captain Vimes, he is drunk in the gutter, just singing this song before he passes out. And from there, we really get to see Vimes grudgingly get back his self-respect. And I've really enjoyed Vimes, mainly because he believes in the law. He's just lost the will to enforce it. And then, you know, things in the book obviously happen, and he builds himself back up. He finds his pride again, and he truly, truly believes in the law, and he goes to enforce it. Sergeant Colon is just this kind of, I picture like a donut cop, you know, the guy who's just kind of waiting on his pension, waiting to retire. He's already had 3 kids with his wife. He thinks he's got a happy marriage because he never has to see his wife, so they never fight. They only communicate via notes left in like either on his like table when he's going to work, because he's the night shift, she's day shift, so they never you know sleep in the same bed. They never really talk except through these notes, which I thought was really funny. Nobby is this small, unattractive kind of goblin man who initially feels kind of cowardly, but then throughout the book you get to see him be courageous and see that there are unplumbed depths to Nobby, and I'm really, really excited to see where his character arc goes. Now, we've got Carrot, Iron Foundson. I like Carrot. Carrot is very literal, and it creates for great, just dry British comedy. It is fantastic. I cannot push Carrot enough. Essentially, Carrot's whole shtick was that he and his family were waylaid by bandits as a child, and he was the only survivor. And then the wagon was found by a bunch of dwarves. These dwarves picked Carrot up and raised them as one of their own. Basically, he was adopted. He was the found son. And I believe his dad is the king of the mountain, of this particular mountain clan. So he very much believes in honor, very much believes in sticking to codes. He's very literal, just like the dwarves of the mountain. But he's kind of outgrown their kingdom. Like, he's too big for the doors. They don't make beds his size. They don't make wives his size. And he's just not very dwarven. But he thinks he's a dwarf. So his dad contrives to send him to Angmar Pork. And at this point, they are told by a man at the bottom of the mountain that hey, he should join the Night Watch. This is very illustrious policing force. And if he gets accepted, then he is the son of a king, of a dwarven king, and it's a very high post. So he's given a book, a very thick book of very outdated laws, and he memorizes that laws on the long walk to Ingmar. And yeah, these laws are now no longer enforced, and he starts enforcing them and creates just all sorts of chaos. We also have Sybil, whose last name I don't remember, but she's a very wealthy woman. I think one of the wealthiest women in Ingmar. And she raises swamp dragons in her backyard in a kennel. And swamp dragons basically eat everything and then either fart it out or belch it out as little bursts of fire. And that's kind of her whole shtick. And we get introduced to her because of, dragons, which are meant to be mythical, and these are the closest things, so she gets brought in as a consultant. And then we've got the Supreme Lodge of the Elucidated Brethren. These are I'm not going to say the antagonists, but basically these are a group of laymen who are tired of being trodden upon. They want power, and so they seek to go get it. And to do that, they find a half-burned old book in a library, thus bringing in the librarian, who is a big monkey. But don't call him a monkey. He doesn't like it. And they proceed to start summoning dragons to do their bidding and feel powerful. Now, what I loved about this book is I loved the heart, I loved the characterization, I loved the growth, I loved the interaction. I loved the frustration. I pretty much loved everything about this book. It is very much my cup of tea. And I am very, very mad that it took me this long to read it. I did expect, as I said earlier, I did expect that this to be almost pure absurdist. And it's not. It is a beautiful blend of almost surrealist humor. And it's very dry British humor, but at the same time, when it lands, and it lands often. I got many a chuckle out of this book, and I cannot wait to move on to the next one. Now, when it comes to book structure, actually, before we get to book structure, I want to talk about just a couple things I didn't super love. You are hit with a little bit of absurdity right out of the gate. It is almost a, it reminds me of the Monty Python and the Flying Circus sketch where a guy walks in to have an argument. Where John Cleese's character walks in to have an argument. And then they proceed to just do slapstick Monty Python humor. And the introduction kind of felt like that. It was just very, very silly right out of the gate. And I didn't quite get it. It took about 6 or 7 pages for me to finally click with this. But once I did, I was in for the ride. And so give it about 5 or 6 pages, and you'll be in for the ride. I also don't like the fact that this doesn't have designated chapters. Now, that's something I've got to accept, because except for a couple early books of Pratchett, he pretty much forgoes chapters in all of Discworld, from what I've been told. So you get these line breaks for switches in POV, for time jumps, for scenery changes, and things of that nature. And if you're not looking for the line break, it can be a little bit jarring. But once you get used to it, you adapt really quickly. So it's not a huge con, it is just a con. So other than that, though, I really enjoyed this. I think you should really give it a try. Pretty much anybody and everybody should at least try Discworld, I think. Mainly because, I like a lot of epic fantasy. I'm a huge, you can see right here my new Wheel and Serpent from Wheel of Time. I love Wheel of Time. I love Battle. You've got Faithful and the Fallen right here. I've got my Malazan Book of the Fallen down here. But this was so refreshing. This was such a nice change of pace. And if anything, use these for palate cleansers. They are perfect for palate cleansers. If you've been reading like 16 in a row grimdark novels, or you've been reading 5 sci-fi novels and you need a change, go ahead and give it a try. It's so worth it. This is so far my favorite book that I've read in 2021. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I loved this book. So, if you like Discworld, go ahead and talk to me about it in the comments below. If you have other Discord collection or stories recommendations, tell me why in the comments down below. Or if you just want to talk books and join our Discord community, the link is in the description. Feel free to click it and join in. We'd love to have you. So, till next time, guys, stay magical. Peace out. Bye.